Hello students! In our previous video, we learned about the natural form of vegetative propagation in plants. Today, let us see artificial vegetative propagation in them. That too, cutting as a method of vegetative propagation. Now, as you know student, in vegetative propagation, reproduction is carried out by human intervention. It is usually done either in gardens or fields or laboratories for commercial benefits. The most common type are cutting, grafting, layering and tissue culture etc. Let's see about cutting first. It is the simplest and most widely used method for plant propagation. In this, a part of a matured plant, generally a stem or a leaf, is cut and planted in the moist soil. This broken part of parent body is called cutting. Once this cutting is planted, it now develops roots and shoots. After some time, a new plant is formed from this cutting. These cuttings are sometimes treated with hormones to induce root development faster. Now, while making a cutting, one must take care that it should have at least one node and some few axillary buds that helps in propagation. You know that axillary bud is a parent structure from which branches of plant or tree develops. It is formed at the junction of leaf and stem. Also, remove flowers and flower buds if there are any. This helps cutting to use its energy and stored food for root and shoot formation rather than fruit and seed formation. And thus, if all the energy is used for root and shoot formation, then plant will grow faster as compared to the other one. Students, usually if stem and leaves are taken as cuttings, they are put in bright area with indirect sunlight, while if roots are taken as cuttings, they are kept in dark and without sunlight until new shoots appear on them. Do you know that there are different ways to cut and use the stems, leaves and roots as cuttings? The following chart shows types of stem cutting, leaf cutting and root cutting. While making stem cuttings, we can either cut the tip of the stem or cut it from between. That is, take the medial part of the stem. Make sure that it has at least one node where adventitious roots can develop. Now plant this cutting in a moist soil. These methods are respectively called as tip cutting or medial cutting of the stems. Now for stems that are like sugar cane, take sections containing one or two eyes or nodes, and thus this method is called as cane cuttings. Now place them horizontally with half of the cutting below the humid surface and their eyes facing upward. The eye refers to the bud which emerges at the axil of leaf or each node. Sometimes the stem may have a single eye as cutting. Observe that here there is a single leaf on each node, specifically at alternate nodes, and thus it is a single eye cutting. And sometimes stem has a double eye, that is, there are two leaves placed oppositely at each node, and this is called as double eye cutting. In both the cases, insert cutting vertically in the medium, yes, nutritive medium, and not in the soil, with the node just touching the surface of the medium. Now when roots start appearing here, take them out, pot them in the soil, and the new plant will grow out of it. Now what about this woody stem? Is it easy to take cutting out of it? No, right? So for many such stems which are woody and thick, shield-shaped cut is created. It is just about halfway through the wood around a leaf and the axial bud. This method is called as heel cutting. Now insert this heel horizontally into the medium so that it is completely covered. Again, after few days, roots and shoots will start appearing here, and that's the time when it is taken out and potted, which will grow in the new plant. Now let's have a look at leaf cuttings. Now while making them, we can take a whole leaf with a petiole or without a petiole, and hence so called as whole leaf with petiole cutting or without petiole cutting. Or instead of taking intact leaves, their veins on the lower surface are slit open, or the whole leaf is cut into wedges with at least one vein in each wedge, and thus each respectively called as split vein cutting or wedge cuttings. They are then placed horizontally on some nutritive medium or moist soil. And when roots and shoots appear, cuttings are planted in the soil if it is in the medium, and from which new plant will grow. Now the last is root cuttings. It is very simple, students. Plants can have either long roots or small roots. Plants with any of the root types can be taken as cuttings. So students, what we have seen in this video is cutting as a method of vegetative propagation. In our next video, we will see another method, that is layering.